Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Okay. Can you all type into the chat room and let me know if you have the audio? All right. If you can hear me, just please let me know in the chat room. It's great to see everybody. Okay, super. Is there anyone else besides Robin who can hear me? I just want to make sure before we get started. All right, super. Great. Well, welcome back to Office Hours. I'm really excited to be working with everyone, and congratulations on making it to the last week of the course. So just as a friendly reminder, the online course does end officially on Friday, but you have until the end of the weekend to get caught up with all of your assignments. The only things that are due to me are the online discussion forums. The readings, the written assignments, you can take your time with. Sometimes they won't even make any sense until after the 3-day conference. So just take your time with that. You can also make appointments with business counselors and they can go over that with you in detail. That should help you a lot. Okay, so today is going to be very similar to last week. We're going to spend the first half of the live stream on YouTube. It'll be about 45 minutes, and then we will switch to the Zoom platform. Okay, I'll end this broadcast and then just go back to the email that I sent and then click on the link for Zoom. That one is not recorded, so it's basically a private office hours session, and we get a lot of participation, primarily because you get a chance to see each other online. So it's a nice way to connect face-to-face before you even get to the 3-day conference, and we can work out any of the homework assignments or any other questions that you have with anything that's been going on over the past 3 weeks, or even anything that is unrelated to the course, all right? The only questions I cannot answer have anything to do with the 3-day conference because I'm not involved with that. So if you have any questions or concerns with your hotel reservations, arriving late to the conference, or anything else, please direct those emails to Kiara, okay, and she can answer those for you. Okay, great. I am going to go ahead and look through these through the chat room really quick before we get started. It's great to see so many of you on here. All right, I will answer a lot of these questions at the very end. So let's talk about the second set of homework assignments over these past few weeks. So last week I briefly mentioned a different entity called a DBA. So this is something that you can do if you have several different business ideas, or you want to get paid under a fictitious name. So a DBA is usually a cheaper solution to either an LLC, an S Corp, or a C Corp, okay? But it does allow you to get paid as your business name. So that's why even if you're functioning as a sole proprietor, it's something that's good to have. And you can sit with your business counselor or your accountant or an attorney and discuss this option because it is a good option for you. And if you go to these links, I did email this out, so if you haven't gotten it, what I will do after this live stream ends, or actually after office hours ends, what I'll do tonight is put it under the content section of Blackboard, okay? But you will be able to reference these different resources to decide if this is something that you would need. I actually have 2 DBAs, and I have 2 federal trademarks thanks to the legal assistance services through IVMF, okay? So you will have access to a lot of resources after you graduate from the 3-day conference. So the key thing about a DBA, which means doing business as, is that it does not offer the trademark protection. It also doesn't offer the full veil of security that either an LLC, an S Corp, or a C Corp, or even the B Corp will offer, okay? It doesn't fully protect your assets. So that's why it's really important to be able to sit down with a business counselor and discuss this further. But just to even get started, this is a really good way to separate out your different brands until they grow to a certain point where you will want to form them as separate legal entities, such as an LLC or a C Corp. Okay, so you will need to file for your trademark protection separately. All right. Okay, so let's talk about value, because this week we're talking about the value network. And value is really defined from the customer's perspective. So it's really all about them and it's not about us, although we want it to be about us because that's why, you know, we've gotten to business for ourselves. So it's always about the customer, and value is defined on whatever it means to them. So value can mean anything to them. It can be convenience, okay? Maybe you offer mobile services or extended hours. Okay, for those of you who are running clinics or anything else, I'm thinking of our telehealth team. There's 3 of them, right? Colleen and I'm sorry, why am I drawing a blank right now? They offer remote services. Okay, this is a huge convenience factor. Okay, for quality, I'm thinking of companies such as Lanson, companies that will guarantee anything that you buy and let you return it. Okay, so the higher the quality, usually the higher the price, but people are willing to pay for that because they want something that's going to last over time. Service, these are all of our coaches, you know, all of our service companies. We have a lot of lifestyle coaches in this room or in this group. Okay, it's all about customer service. And then price. So Walmart is still the low price leader in that, you know, in that industry. But it's really how you plan to compete. And it's all defined on what the customer wants. Okay, so let's try and narrow it down for you. I'm going to give you some examples of value added activities based on the industry. So some of this is a little obvious, and for some of you, you may be hearing this for the first time. So this is just going to give you a different way to think about how you approach whatever it is that your customer wants from either your service or your product or both. Okay, so if you're in the service industry, it's really about providing that high degree of professionalism. Okay, especially for those of you who have some sort of professional service. I'm thinking of our healthcare providers, our attorneys. I think we've got a few in the room, as well as our consultants. Okay, it can also be about the way you bundle and package your services. I'm thinking of everything now has just shifted to that whole subscription-based service versus, you know, when they used to be able to sell items separately. Like, it was really nice on iTunes when you could just buy one song. Now you just have to pay for the whole monthly subscription. So how is it that you can deliver added value based on whatever it is that you offer? Okay, other things to consider include size, frequency or amount, or these frequent, these rewards programs, because those are really big. Now, if you're selling an actual product, what is it that your customers really value? Some people are willing to pay more or just willing to buy if it's made in America. Okay, same thing if it's made in a certain state. And a lot of states will actually promote brands that that are registered within that state, like made in Alaska, made in Georgia. Okay, so you get special privileges there for doing something like that. Another thing that people value, locally owned, family-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses, or women-owned businesses, okay? It's whatever is valuable to your customers, all right? The other thing about product-based industries, sometimes their branding can be something that has added value. So this little honey bear, it was originally designed after Winnie the Pooh, so this has been in existence for over 50 years. Same thing with this bottle of soy sauce. It's been their brand for over 100 years, and it hasn't really changed. So what is it about your company or your products or services that you can leave your special trademark on? Okay, and then another example is Tom's shoes. It's for them. It's all about the social mission. I actually saw him speak at it was one of the Inc. conferences, and he was the first to admit that their shoes aren't even comfortable, but people were buying because of this social mission. So if this is a way that you can add value so that your customers will buy from you, great. Okay, do it. But you need to figure out what it is. For our nonprofits, it really is all about building relationships with your customers, who in this case are either your donors or your sponsors. The example I'm going to give you is a VWise graduate, or maybe she was an EBV graduate, she has a program. She's basically, her nonprofit raises funds so that, and they pay for ballroom dancing for veterans with PTSD. So what she does is she partners with different Arthur Murray studios, and they hold the fundraisers for her. So she really doesn't have to do all the legwork, because the studio does it. All that money goes back to them, and then they hold all the lessons for her, to help the veterans with PTSD. So who is it in your network that can do something like this for you, where you're not doing all the work, okay? So she's been able to do this for quite a while, and she's helped a lot of veterans this way. Okay, the other thing, especially if you're a nonprofit, is you got to make sure that you are sending these thank you notes, especially phone calls for really big donations. And then you can always give smaller giveaways to everybody else, all right? That must be tangible, because nobody really sees where that money is going. So if you're able to, hire a photographer and get pictures when you're doing some of these programs, and then put it in a way that's tangible for your clients, whether it's like somebody gave me a calendar and it showed everything that they did over the course of the year. It could be a cookbook, whatever it is, a magnet. It's just a way to keep in touch with your donors so that they feel appreciated. Okay, all right. Okay, I'm going to go over some more nonprofit activities. I won't spend too long on this, but we have this in every single class. And what's really important for you is that you're not always relying on grants and donations, that you have some sort of way to sustain your activities based on either revenue generating activities and fundraisers, of course. But at some point, you can't rely solely on these, because you never know when they're going to be around. You will have a little bit more control over this. Okay, and I've seen nonprofits actually acquire for-profit companies so that they could have ways to generate income. All right, and the example I'm going to give you is an education nonprofit. They acquired a for-profit company that did the testing for kids, the educational testing. All right, so what are ways that you can come up with consistent revenue streams? So if you can sell merchandise, all right, whether it's clothing, books, cookbooks. This one is always big, the membership dues. Everybody usually charges something for either a program or just some sort of monthly subscription to be a part of maybe that museum. Trying to think of everything else that's going on. And then whatever your program fees, as well as advertising. Those are pretty big. Now, if you're going to do a fundraiser, find people or other stakeholders that can help you with this. Either your dinners or your silent auctions. That's a lot of work, trying to get all those prizes. But if you have other stakeholders who are willing to help you out with all of this, then it'll make it a lot easier for you. Okay, so this link, hopefully it's still working. It's going to give you the actual report of who these clients are, or who these donors are, what they look like, how much money they make. And it really boils down to what's called psychographics. This comes from the Greek word psyche, okay, that tells you the buying behavior of your clients. Oh, in this case, it'll be your donors. For everybody else, it'll be your clients or your customers. Okay, really quickly, I want to talk about the value chain. This actually refers to, it was actually designed for the manufacturing industry, but they have industry-specific value chains. Okay, so you can just look them up online to see which one applies to you, especially if you're in coaching or education. They have one for everything. The main thing to remember about this is that there are primary activities. These are the things that lead to the production or the delivery of your product or service, and these are supporting activities, and although they don't directly affect your product or service, they do in an indirect way, and I'm going to show you that in a little bit. The main thing to remember about the value chain is that it's a set of activities. One, it delivers value to your customer, and this is really where your competitive advantage is gonna lie. Okay, the main thing to remember is that you can really only have a few core competencies. Anything like anywhere between 1 to 2 or even 3, and the rest you're probably going to outsource. When you find a value chain for your industry, see what it is that most people will focus on, and then you'll know what you should be focusing on. So if you're in the education industry like I am, especially for e-learning, then our two key areas include operations as well as marketing. Okay, those are our core competencies. I'm going to write that out right here since there's no closed captioning, so you'll know what I am talking about. So this is a big overview. I know some of you are probably wondering, why is this important to me? I'm going to show you that right now. So the example we're going to use here is Starbucks. You can find this example online all over the internet. The main thing with Starbucks is that their unique value proposition is customer service. So how do they focus on this, and how do they deliver it? And it all comes in through their internal activities, which is through their training. What happens is that this is where their advantage is, and it leads to healthy returns. So if we're going to look at this based on that value chain, here it is again. All right, so under human resources, they spend a lot of time doing training with all of their team members, and then the result is that it comes out in the form of superior customer service. And again, this really depends on which Starbucks you're going to, but this is their overall goal. So what is your overall goal for your company if you're planning to have team members, employees? And even if you're not, if you're designing a product or service and maybe just marketing it on Etsy or Pinterest or somewhere else, think about how your overall vision for how you do things, and figure out what it is that you want to focus on. Maybe it's just the way you design things and how you market them. Or if you're trying to keep your costs down, it would be based on your inbound logistics. Where can you source your supplies at the cheapest rate? It really depends on what you want to do with this. Okay, I want to really briefly talk about niches, because we've been talking about that since last week, and it's going to be really important because when you do your marketing analysis, you need to know who these people are. Who are your customers, and how do they self-identify? This isn't always possible with your B2B, which we talked about a little bit last week. B2B, which refers to business, okay? You won't always get these niches with them. But there should be, I want to say that there will be some breakout sessions on procurement while you're at the 3-day conference, and they can help break that down for you. So if maybe you're in the, you're marketing B2C, which is business to consumer. Let me just write this out. B2C, business to consumer. Now these niches become really important. So a niche are groups of individuals who self-identify in various categories. So we, in the military community, we're both women entrepreneurs as well as military spouses, okay? And then you can break that down even further. A lot of times people will use the generational differences. So millennials, baby boomers, and so forth, to categorize their different groups of customers. And then within certain market segments like travelers, you can break them down even further. There are adventure seekers, wellness travelers, business travelers. Who is it that you're targeting, and why, and how are they buying? That refers back to the psychographics, which we talked about in an earlier slide. And even within the education industry, there are several different market segments. It really depends on what you're doing, who you're catering to, and why they want to buy from you. Okay, so that in a nutshell is the niche. The other thing I want to talk about is this acronym, your BAIL team. Okay, so it's the BAIL with an I, because these are the people who are going to bail you out of trouble if you ever need help. Not that any of you would ever get into any trouble. Okay, so your banker, accountant, insurance agent, and lawyer. So these people you should always be going to with questions about your legal entity and everything else that's coming up. All right, so a lot of that has been addressed in my forum, and I'm going to talk about it really briefly, but because everything is so personalized, it's best if you go and confirm and verify everything with them, all right? Okay, grants. This comes up in every single class, so I'm going to just cover it really quickly. If you do need to apply for a grant, it's really helpful to at least have a short summary of what it is that you do and who you are targeting. Okay, so if you can cover this will be the basis of a grant proposal. They're all different. There's no real standard format for it. The key thing is to show the value of the grant to the people you are serving. So value meaning a dollar amount. Okay, show the value for your I want to say the population that you serve. Okay, this is what they really want to know. How much money do you need? How is it going to be used? And what are they going to get in terms of it? So for your target audience, to be really specific, and we kind of covered that recently in the last slide. Who are these people? You can use census.gov. I mean, there's so many reports out there, but who are they specifically in your area that you're going to serve, unless you are serving a national area, and that can become really hard to pinpoint. You will need to use the demographics from census.gov based on those niches. The other thing that you want to address is who on your team is going to help you pull this off so that it can be successful. Organizations are really risk averse when it comes to giving money. That's why you have to be able to show that you have a really good team who can do the job and deliver on whatever it is that they're promising. So what are your program goals? Back it up with the research. If you don't have access to a university library, Google Scholar is one of those databases that can give you peer-reviewed articles. Those of you who are either on active duty or are retired military, your, what are they called? In the Army, it's the MWR library. I don't know what it's called in the other services, but I have access to those databases too. Okay, and I'm not affiliated with a university. So this is where you can get your peer-reviewed articles from. Okay. And then don't forget to include your goals as well as what resources you already have to pull this off. Let me put this right here. Peer-reviewed articles, I'm sorry. There. And then the value for each participant. I mean, just make sure you have a list of all your expenses. Ways to simplify. I don't know if there's really a simple way to get a grant, but if you can partner with other organizations who can write you into their grant, that'll make it a lot easier for you. Just be sure that you do have a capability statement. You will need to be registered in SAMS so that you can apply through the different websites, the portals like fbo.gov. Every once in a while, a grant will make its way into there, but grants.gov is where the most of the federal ones are located. Okay, and then you can work with your local and state agencies for putting together grant proposals at those levels. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Okay, yeah, I need to hurry up. Supplier diversity program. So if somebody asked me on the Ask the Expert forum, how do you find your market if you were doing business with other businesses? So this is one way to do it. If you're a small business, you have any Fortune 500 companies in your area, you definitely want to look into becoming a supplier for them. So this includes Walmart, Sam's, any of the other big businesses within your area. All you really need to do is, if you type this in, doing business with, and then name that company, these are your keywords, it will bring up that website, and then you can apply to become a supplier. Okay. The other thing that we learned when MetLife came and spoke with us is that they want you to call them and request 10-minute meetings with their representative. They break them down into different divisions depending on what it is you do. If you're selling a product, they'll refer you to that person. If you're offering a service, there's somebody else too. It all depends on your field. And then during that 10-minute meeting, you can give your pitch. But the most important thing is to identify why they should do business with you. And it's not enough to, just say, oh, well, I'm a woman veteran or whatever. It's what your special, unique qualifications are that make you stand out above everybody else. Okay. And I know each of you in this class brings something unique to the table. You just need to figure out what it is, or have somebody help you to express it in a way that is convincing. Okay, and then when you're at the 3-day conference, there's a breakout session just for that. Okay, all right. We have IVMSF students at Whole Foods, Walmart, Sam's. So if they can do it, you can do it too, but you do need to figure out how to get in there and become a supplier. So do take some time and look at these portals and see if this is something that you want to eventually do. There's plenty of information out there, and I know IVMF does a lot of training with this. So after you graduate from VWise, look into going into the EDGE conference in March, and they do a whole day-long training just on this topic. Okay, yeah. Okay, I'm going to speed through this really quickly because I want to make time for the questions. Here's some other tools from competitive analysis. Some of these are expensive. There's usually a professional marketing consultant in every class, and I haven't gotten through all of the forms yet. I haven't found that professional marketing consultant yet in this class, but I'm sure you will find that person when you get to the conference. And these are some of the tools that they're using, which could be really helpful for you. If you are an established business, you're trying to grow, these are some of the resources that a professional consultant can use with you. And since you have the budget to do it, it might be worth paying that $10,000 for. Okay, it really depends on where you are at with your revenue. So SEMrush, oh goodness, this one was really helpful because it'll show you where your competitors are advertising. Okay, that's what you really want to know, because if they're finding your customers there, you'll find them too. Okay, Google Keyword Planner. A lot of these things I don't do. I don't do these often, and I don't do them for a living, but I just want you to be aware of them because some of you do this really well, and if you do, I want you to let everybody know either in the chat room or in the Ask the Class forum, because you will be a resource for your classmates. Okay, so anyway, these are some really good tools for you. Here, the social media analytics are free. Facebook, Instagram, that's what you need to be using which you could actually use as part of your market analysis, okay, as well as hashtags. I think for most of you, if you go and make an appointment with your local SBDC counselor, you can get what are called these GIS marketing analysis reports, and that's what's going to help you get that detailed information. It may not pinpoint everything in your niche because those are smaller markets, but they should be able to give you information about that general overall market. Okay. Okay, for those of you in that procurement space, so I'm thinking of Winifred, all of our life coaches, because you're basically looking for other entrepreneurs to do business with. Here are some sources of where to find new clients. If you are familiar with the Kauffman Foundation, 1 Million Cups, it goes on almost every Wednesday all over the United States, and that's where you can go and give your pitch in front of, sometimes even really big groups of entrepreneurs. It's a way to get the word out. Okay, your local Chamber of Commerce as well as other networking organizations, but the 1 Million Cups is free. You don't have to be a member of the Chamber. Okay, trade shows. This is a great way to network with your indirect competitors because these are the ones who will share trade secrets with you. Your direct competitors will not, okay? Other free subscription services. So for those of you in the procurement space, your PTACs, Procurement Technical Assistance Centers. Okay, and they can also give you subscriptions to all the contracts that are coming out, the solicitations. So your Procurement Technical Assistance Center. So Winifred, I know you asked me a question about this. You might be able to get some information from them, okay? There's also the Secretary of State websites. I've not really had time to fool around with that, but you can look for other competitors there, as well as this website here is free. Don't pay for any subscriptions, but it will give you solicitations based on state, and that's a good way to get some information about who to do business with. Okay, this website here, I think they changed the name from FedBid to something else. This will give you, these are ways to actually get your name out without having to look for a solicitation. They're like, I want to say the Pinterest of, the GSA is like the government's form of Pinterest. It's basically a catalog where you list all your services so people can find you. There are also speed dating and matchmaking events so that you can get a chance to meet the organizations who will do business with small businesses, okay? All right. And then what a lot of other people will do is they'll reach out on FBO. They'll reach out to the prime contractors and request to be subcontractors so they can get those smaller opportunities. Okay, a lot more manageable. Okay, this is the last slide I'm going to talk about. If you're looking to increase your leads, I'm going to point out some really good resources. HubSpot is one of them, okay, and Hootsuite's another one. So if you look at, if you sign up to get their newsletters, it'll give you a lot of information, almost too much information about marketing, but these are some resources that are available to you. Okay, all right, so those are the slides in a nutshell. I'm going to go through the chat room, and we're going to start answering some questions before we end the live stream, and then move over to Zoom. Okay, all right. Jane, the ladies who are starting the telehealth company, Colleen is one of them. Okay, Colleen, if you're on here, if you can reach out to Jane. Let me go through this really quick. All right, good. I'm really happy to see the level of engagement both in this chat room as well as online in the chat forums or the discussion forum. So keep up the great work. I think you all are going to really enjoy each other at the conference. All right, good. Let me go ahead and escape from these slides here. I want to answer some of the questions that were on my forum for the Ask the Expert. So last week, let me see if it's on here. Okay. I know Robin's here right now. Robin, I don't know if you have any questions at all about what I talked about. I don't want this to overwhelm you. Last week her question was regarding whether she should just lump everything that she does with, she's an artist. She creates journals and a lot of mixed media. So she was wondering whether or not to just find one category that would fit all of her ventures or separate them out. So she has a couple different options, and what she does right now, let me see if I can find a way to write on this. Okay, hopefully this will work. Okay, well, what she does right now is manufacturing. So she can do retail and wholesale. Is that right, Robin? Where she might be selling on Etsy, and it may just be to individual consumers, but why not go to, I'm trying to think of somewhere, almost everywhere sells journals. Hallmark, Mardell's, Hobby Lobby, even Sam's or Walmart. Why not take some of those journals, see if you can mass produce a small amount, and get them on the shelves of one of those retailers, okay? Because they will, especially you as a small business, as a woman-owned business, maybe you're in a hub zone, they'll let you pilot it at a store and then go from there and see how it goes. The key thing with that, right now she is a DBA, so she's functioning as a sole proprietor. In order for her to do business with the government or any of those retail establishments, she needs to be either an LLC, an S Corp, or a C Corp. So, okay, so if you see her chat right now, she's been on Etsy for 3 years, selling as a brick. You are a brick and mortar. Robin, have you considered taking your products and trying to put them in the retail sector? Yeah, so try that. Just go up to them to say, who's the manager here? I've done this before. I've done this at my health food center. I'm just not I'm not like a food person. Otherwise, if I could come up with my own unique recipe for allergy-free products, then I would market it there. But they are going to be willing to work with you and show you how it is that you get your products on the shelves. I think, Robin, for you, you are going to need to get an ISBN number for some of your, like for your journals. And if there's somebody in this class who can help you with that, that would be great. Okay, so you were your actual brick and mortar store. So it's time for you to create a passive revenue stream. Although there's nothing that's really passive, they all require work. Yeah, okay, that's great to hear. She's been really successful on Etsy. See which retailers are near you where you can actually build a relationship with those managers and just start piloting it. That's how IVMF students have become successful. One of them developed a lotion. She was allergic to stuff, and she used the lotion to actually help calm down her PTSD, her post-traumatic stress. And she was able to take it to one of the retail grocers and get it on those shelves. Just a small amount, but it's just going to build your confidence. Okay, so great. I'm really happy to see that you all are supporting her in the chat room. So that would be your homework, Robin, is to see which of these retailers would be a good fit for your artwork and find out what the next step is, because you do need to protect it, and they usually want some sort of barcode before they will take your product. I'm in the publishing industry, so we use the ISBN numbers. I forget what they're called for regular merchandise. Okay, super. All right, good. So her question was answered. I feel better about this now that we've had a chance to talk. I want to talk about Naomi's question. Let me find hers. I hope Naomi is on here. If you are, just go ahead and just say something into the chat room. Her question to me was how to narrow down her niche, or actually her marketing for her area. And I don't exactly know where she lives, so what I did was I went to census.gov. Well, the first thing I did, let me backtrack, was I typed in these keywords. I typed in frozen yogurt industry, and then I came up with these reports. Sometimes I'll add the word IBIS at the end just to see if I can get the free report. It didn't come up that time, but I still got enough information about the frozen yogurt industry that I was able to get these links. And Naomi, I'm going to email this to you when we're done. So what's really interesting about the frozen yogurt industry, and I didn't know this at all, is that their average consumer is a female between the ages of 18 to 35. So clearly, this is somebody who is into fitness, watching their weight, and so they're looking for a dessert with lower calories. So now, based on this information, she's really going to want to focus in more on this demographic. So I don't know where she lives. So somebody in the last EBV class, he was going to set up like 3 ice cream franchises, and he lives in Florida. So that's actually a good place because it's usually warm there most of the year, and so he's probably going to sell a lot of ice cream all year long. For the specific franchise that he wanted to invest in, they don't even sell coffee. So I thought that was kind of strange, but if it's in Florida, then maybe they don't need it during the winter time. So for her specifically, I went to census.gov. I typed in the city and the state. It gave me the results from 2017. Oh, good. Naomi, you're here. I'm so glad. Just keep typing into the chat room if you have any questions. So when you get there, when you get to census.gov, if you know your average customer, if you found a report that gives you that, then you can narrow it down based on that, your region, your city and state, and then find those numbers. So just according to this, so 6, 12, 18, 24, so about 2.4 million of her customers of this market segment are in Miami, Florida. Now, if she would actually have to break this down even more to the specific region that she's going to do business in. So then we would go to census.gov. Let me see where I can find it. Okay, so this was American FactFinder, so I'm going to backtrack. What I did was I went to census.gov, and then I actually forgot how to do this because it's been so long, so I just went to American FactFinder because I wanted the detailed report. Once you get to this point, somehow you just put whatever it is that you're looking for. I know this is super tiny, no one's going to see it. So I wanted to search it based on sex, age, and then the state, and then you can actually download the results and then copy and paste. Okay, once you get to that point, you'll have the specific demographics that you're looking for. But to narrow down the search even further, then you would go to sizeup.com. I'm not actually signed into this right now. Then you would get really detailed reports based on your location here. All right, you would have to sign in to do this, and I sent out those slides last time, but I just wanted to point this out. So this is how you can get even further, more of the micro data for your local area. All right. And then what I also wanted to talk about was just going back to your SBDC, your local business counselors, and getting that kind of information from them too. Okay, so, oh, Dallas, Texas. Okay. Priscilla, I see your question. I'm trying not to get myself distracted. So Naomi, you're going to do the same thing in Dallas. Just definitely use sizeup.com and find all the other frozen yogurt shops and see which section of Dallas that they're all in. Because once you're there, let me see if I can bring up my my last set of slides. Because if I have to log into SizeUp right now, it will probably mess everything up. Let me show this to you, and then I'm going to answer Priscilla's question. When you are actually in SizeUp, it's going to give you all your competitors. There's going to be a little button right here that says consumer spending, and then it's going to break it down even further. It'll tell you what they're spending based on the region. So that's how you're going to get that micro analysis for your data. Okay? All right, good. Okay. So Priscilla's question is, what are my thoughts on Hootsuite versus a free version? For now, I would use free. The reason I used Hootsuite was because I have a lot of platforms. I have a little too many, but it was the most convenient, especially when you have very little time and you have to streamline your efficiencies as much as possible. So if you have the resources, go for it. If not, use whatever free version you can. Okay, whatever's out there. But that's a very good question. So this is why you really need to have just an overall, not so much plan, but know what your expenses are, so you know, or what resources you have available to you, so you know what you can afford to spend, so that you can have some help. And if you can't afford to hire marketing help, those platforms like Hootsuite, CoSchedule, that's another form of help to help save you time, because then otherwise you're working long hours every week to get this off the ground. Okay, good. All right. I guess there's a question up further. Yeah, Dorothy, if you're able to go to Zoom, I could probably answer this more there. It has to do with DBAs, and this really depends on the state that you're forming your company into. Do you need to produce a sub DBA for a business tax receipt? Yeah, let's talk on Zoom. I just need more information. Okay. How do you get to SizeUp? I'm going to put, it's sizeup.com. When you get to SizeUp, let me pull this up. It's going to ask you to sign in. You don't actually create the account on SizeUp. There's a little link right here. It says Westfield. If you go there, then you create your account here. they've never sent me spam or anything else, so it's pretty safe. And then you can log into SizeUp and use that tool. Okay. All right. Good. All right. Good. What other questions can I answer for you? It's 6:14. You know what? We're going to go over time. I need to answer this question for Una. I'm not sure if she's online, but I'm going to do it because I know everybody has this question. So this, let me go to the very beginning. Her question was about how do you create your first year financials if you haven't started a business? If your business hasn't started generating revenue. This is an excellent question. These are just projections. It's really to help you see the big picture. So I think out of all of the financial spreadsheets out there, this is the most user-friendly. Okay, and this one comes from SCORE. So basically how to use this if it's in orange, that's where you're going to enter your data. So this is a little bit tricky. You actually have to go, in order to put in this information, you have to go to a certain one. And I want to say it was this one, Sales Forecast Year 1. So, if you're on here, I just want to make this really big. So all you have to do is take your product or service and put it here in your product lines. I really need, what I need from her is to explain her business more to me. So I know she has a van. I'm not exactly sure what services she provides. So I put service 1 here. I'm going to put service 2 in the next box. And as far as units go, I'm just going to write 1. So every time she provides a service, it's 1 unit, and then whatever her sales price is per unit. So if you're in the service industry, maybe you're providing coaching services, I made this sales price really low. I made it at $25 per hour. It really depends on what you're doing. It may be $50 an hour, $80 an hour. Some physicians, it's $125 on up per hour, okay? Your cost of goods, I made this really low too, because I really, I'm still trying to get through all of the discussions. There's a lot of them. So I will be using all week and part of next week, early next week, to finish up all the grades. But you're going to get credit for everything you turn in unless you didn't put it in the right form. Okay, and at that point I'm going to email you, because sometimes some of the discussions have gotten put either into my form or the Ask the Class form. I just need you to put it into the right one. When you get to this, put in your sales price. I'm going to put her next service at $50 an hour, and the cost of goods probably going to be a little bit more expensive there at $15. So now, do you see what happened? It automatically calculated everything else for this. So her margins per unit. So for the first one, if she charges $25 an hour and only costs her $5 an hour for the supplies, she makes $20 for, I'm not saying per hour, but for that 1 unit. Maybe it only took 10 minutes to deliver this service. For the next one is $35. She's making $35 per unit based on that sales price. So one of the ways you can do this, there's no real right or wrong way. Usually that's what you're using your competitive map for, is if you can find what your competitors are making every year, then you can create something similar to that. Otherwise, it's based off of what is reasonable for you. Maybe she's still working full time, so that first month she's going to provide 10 units of service. Maybe it's a house cleaning business, so $25 might be a little too low. But if she provides 10 of those units at $25 an hour, her sales for that first month will be $250. What she's paying for her cost of goods is $50, so she makes $200. So just keep filling it in. Maybe the second month she's going to double it. So we'll put in 20, okay? And then it automatically populates. Maybe this fourth month is December. Nobody wants to have their houses clean. Actually, I'm going to say everyone wants to have their houses clean because they're all hosting parties. See how it populates? So this is your best educated guess. Fill in the numbers because they are estimates, and then it'll just give you a good idea of what you can make based on those numbers, okay, for that first year. There's no right or wrong. These are just projections. And if you sit down with a really good business counselor, they should be able to help you with this. They'll be able to draw from, their experiences helping other people, and they can tell you what is reasonable for your area, okay? So, okay, good. So anyway, I wanted to just point this out. Dawn, your question, how do we have access to this? Are you talking about this spreadsheet? It's from SCORE. So Anita, how do we access this? What I'm going to do later, this is the SCORE financial template. I'm going to put the link here. Why don't I just pull it up right now? I might have to do this later so that we're not running out of time. But if you type in SCORE financial template, and this was the one for small businesses, okay? This one's a little tricky. I wouldn't do it by yourself. If you've never done it before, I would just make an appointment to sit with a business counselor and have them walk you through it for an hour. The first time I did this, I had no idea what I was doing. It took 3 visits. We spent between 3 to 4 hours just in that counselor's office over like 3 to 4 weeks, and it doesn't even count like the 6 to 7 hours at home, me trying to figure this out. Okay, so the name of the form is, you know what? I don't know the exact name of the form. It says S4 financial projections, but I think when you go to the SCORE website, I want to say it's their business financial template. If somebody reminds me in my forum, I will find the exact link and I will put it there. I just don't know if it will let me put this entire file there, because look how many tabs there are at the very bottom. Okay, this file might be too big. Yeah, I would highly recommend sitting with a business counselor because there's a lot of information here. They need to walk you through this step by step. Okay, good. We're over time on here. What I'm going to do is end this live stream, and I'm going to meet everybody on Zoom. If you can just click on the link, you'll get there before I will. Okay, and that's fine. I will see you all really soon. If I didn't get a chance to see you on this YouTube live stream, I just want to thank you for letting me work with you these past 3 weeks. I've enjoyed working with this class, and I wish you all the best with your ventures, as well as I hope you have a great time. I know you're going to have a great time at the conference. Okay, I hope I get a chance to meet all of you. I won't be there in Buffalo, but hopefully I will see some of you in Dallas in March. Okay, all right, take care, and I will see you. I'll see most of you on Zoom. All right, bye for now.